Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about some news that came out. It'll be probably like almost a week old by the time this video, because it should be going up tomorrow. But that was the news about the DCU canon. James Gunn was on Threads and kind of was answering fans about what is going to be DCU canon. Obviously, he kept it vague, and it's kind of led to this confusion and stuff like that. And plenty of people kind of made their videos and discussion points about it, and I kind of want to make a video kind of discussing my thoughts. So some of the things that James Gunn had confirmed was like, right, there are three particular characters that will be going forward. That will be Peacemaker, Waller, and Blue Beetle will all continue on in the DCU. So there's that, which we'll get to that in a second. But he also brought up this point that some characters / storylines from the DCEU will continue over into the DCU, which the way someone put it perfectly was just like, yeah, James Gunn, it's like, oh, I'm going to keep this, I'm going to keep that, I'm going to do this, and this. It is a reboot. It's a soft reboot. It's not the full hard reboot that a lot of people were probably hoping or thought it would be. It's a very soft reboot in a lot of capacities, but like I said, we'll kind of like mesh those two, or rather 3 points, and kind of put them together. So first and foremost, the people who he's keeping, I'm perfectly fine with that. I really enjoy Peacemaker. I'm excited for season 2. I don't even know if James Gunn has even started on that. To be fair, it makes sense. You've been writing a Superman movie, you've been planning out the DCU, you got a lot on your plate already, so it's probably going to be a while. I mean, plus didn't he knock out the like 7 or so episodes of the Creature Commandos animated series? Like, that might have been during the pandemic. He might have, well, no, because he knocked out Peacemaker during the pandemic, right? But I mean, he had already done like all the scripts for like Creature Commando were already done. You know, animation takes a while and stuff like that. Regardless, but either way, like Creature Commandos and Waller will all lead into like Superman Legacy. And he's like, that's where you really know about the canon. So we'll get to that in a second, but the fact is, I'm perfectly fine with Peacemaker. Waller, it's Viola Davis, so it's like, yeah, it makes sense. She's a fantastic actress. So you're going to want to do more with her, especially because, well, she hasn't had a lot of time to fully, like, flex, you know, because she's had her parts in Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad, a little bit in Peacemaker. Like, you know, she hasn't really had, like, been able to kind of really sink her teeth into a lot. So it's like, right, let's let Viola Davis shine and show you why she is fantastic as, you know, Amanda Waller. Remind you, like you need reminding how much of a fantastic actress she is. But either way, there's that, and like I said, there's the Blue Beetle of it all, which that's already been a conversation, because it's like, hey, like, it's vague enough that it's not fully tied to the DCEU. It could easily, it's like it's on its own little pocket. So it's made some references here and there, Superman, Batman, but it's like, yeah, you can easily slot that into the DCU canon. That's where we also get to that thing of, well, it's Blue Beetle specifically, but it's like, well, what about, hopefully it includes Jaime's family, because I love the Reyes family unit, and I'd love to be able to kind of continue that going forward in any future capacities, whether it is they did a pseudo sequel to Blue Beetle, or whether it's a Jaime and Booster Gold joining up at some point in time. I still want his family unit involved in that. But either way, the interesting thing, I say all that, I say like, oh, Viola Davis, but he never specifically called, like, he said the characters, and I think we just all assume, you know, like John Cena's coming back as Peacemaker, Viola Davis is coming back as Amanda Waller. I mean, well, we already know, like, definitely Viola is confirmed, so you'd assume this thing about John Cena, and I think it's pretty confirmed about Xolo returning as Jaime Reyes. But either way, we don't really know what that means for the rest of the Peacemaker cast. I mean, it makes sense, because, you know, spoilers, Adebayo is Amanda's daughter, so it's like, her coming back would make sense, too. I mean, also, it's also in that complicated spot, because it's like, well, you know, James Gunn's wife is also part of that cast too, but it's like a lot of people in that cast are also friends as well. So it's like, no, we need it, you know, like I said, he gets to pick and choose. I know people are like, oh, there's a little nepotism. I'm like, first and foremost, I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like, the stuff that people have responded to the best when it comes to DC stuff, like The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, he made it. So I'm also like, it's your baby that you can be like, yeah, these are my properties, I'm gonna bring them over. People can say nepotism, whatever. I'm like, I don't care, do what you want to, because those are things I really enjoy. I mean, I enjoy a lot about the DCEU. I'm bummed that some stuff doesn't get to carry over and what does, but I'm perfectly fine with James Gunn being like, I'm gonna keep all my stuff, I'm gonna keep my toys in this new toy chest that I've got, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I know that could rub people the wrong way. That's why some people are like, just do a hard reboot, because people are always going to give you a side eye of like, oh yeah, you kept your stuff. But just like, to be fair, Get Blue Beetle had nothing to do with that. So intentions and all that aside. So there's that. And like I said, it folds into the conversation about like, right, some storylines will continue. Now, my interpretation of that is, because I'm not caught up in my DCU, DCEU lore, because I've not seen Black Adam, Shazam 2, or The Flash. I've gotten some spoilers on The Flash, like the ending and stuff like that, but I don't have the full context of it, so I could be speaking out of pocket here and there. It's fine that some stuff got spoiled for me, but either way, the point is that the multiversal stuff kind of set up like, oh, things are kind of different when it's all said and done for Barry. At the end of the Flash movie, right? Or at least that's my understanding of it. I mean, I'm well versed enough in the, I don't know all the details, but I'm versed enough in, the ins and outs of the Flashpoint story, because I saw the animated Justice League Flashpoint Paradox movie. Plus, like, there was a very different version of it on the Flash TV show on the CW. So I'm familiar enough with the storyline, right? So he come back to an Earth that's slightly different. So that could easily play into any changes going forward of like, yeah, we're continuing stuff going forward, but that can be the explanation of why certain characters look different, like they're played by different actors, so on and so forth type of thing. I don't know if it's going to be a thing of they're actually going to answer it, because it's, like I said, it's not the hard reboot, it's going to be the soft reboot, so I don't know if they're going to play into that, or is it just going to be like, this is a new thing going forward, we're not even really going to answer that. James Gunn is enough of a nerd that I'm like, he probably will kind of use the Flashpoint multiversal thing of it all to be like, no, there's a reason why these characters are different, especially when it's like, hey, we're playing into this story. You can always have fun with and kind of do a little fourth wall breaky thing of like, but you're probably doing that a lot. I mean, also depends on what characters you probably use to kind of do something like that. But either way, like the example I think of immediately is like, let's take Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Now, this has not been confirmed or anything. This is just me using her as a great example of what taking the whole, oh, we'll probably continue storylines. I take that as we're going to be in a different situation, and say Margot continues as Harley. What would most likely happen is we will continue and build upon Harley's story arc that we've gotten so far in our movies, from Suicide Squad to Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, because I have to say the title every time, because unlike a lot of people, I really like the title, and the Suicide Squad. That arc has been this continuing story for her, especially when it comes to the romance department, from everything between her and Joker, because that led to stuff in Birds of Prey, and then you kind of get a little bit more of that arc and character development in the Suicide Squad. So most likely you would build upon that, but you'd retroactively change some details to fit the new DCU canon. So for example, a lot of stuff in her life will stay the same. Some differences are maybe certain events didn't happen, or maybe they played out a little differently, or it's going to be a thing of, hey, Jared Leto didn't play her Joker. It was always a different actor type of situation. I mean, it might even be a thing of, oh, in this new canon, her and Ivy are already dating type of situation, kind of paralleling, I mean, obviously not only the comics, but even the animated Harley Quinn series in that capacity, but just using that as an example. So we could probably see certain character storylines continue, like Peacemaker probably would continue a lot, but you make little retroactive things of, oh yeah, the Flash isn't played by Ezra Miller, or Jason Momoa isn't isn't Aquaman. I use them specifically because obviously they made their cameo appearance in, spoilers, the season finale of Peacemaker. So it could be something like, in that same vein and capacity. So I could definitely see that being kind of examples of how they continue certain things, but also like change them if need be. Once again, picking and choosing what you want to keep and what you don't. So that's my interpretation of it. It doesn't seem that confusing to me. It seems, and once again, we won't fully know, as James Gunn said, until we get into the nitty gritty of the DCU proper to be like, okay, so this is canon, this is not. I don't know if they're going to, probably little bits here and there will kind of like solidify some stuff pretty early on what's canon and what's not. But, it won't be until we really get the ball rolling, because, I mean, we're still in the DCEU era of things, which I don't know if Aquaman, I mean, once again, technically, I guess it is DCU if some of those elements carry over. Once again, we only got those 3 characters. And, once again, it's just speculation. To me, it's fun speculation. But for a lot of people, it's like, I need to know because I'm a hardcore nerd and I need to get this straight in my head. But I also get James Gunn being in a situation of can't really tell you right now, because for one, I want you to enjoy the fun of, figuring it out along this journey. That's the fun of it all. But I think it's also like, I got movies to sell. It's my job as one of the co-heads of this studio to be like, yo, these movies we're putting putting out, because Warner Brothers Discovery needs to make some money on them. So I don't want you treating these movies, which some people have been treating them as lame duck movies, of like, well, why am I going to see this movie when this universe is dead and nothing matters? It's like, well, kind of saying that shows like, no, some of these storylines will matter. You just don't know which ones matter. So keep the canon in the back of your mind. There's also the thing, I think I heard this somewhere. I don't know if James Gunn said it, so I don't want to attribute this to him, but it might have been in that same conversation he was having with people on Threads. But there was some things of like, you don't need the homework of the DCEU to enjoy like whatever happens in the DC. It's gonna probably be fun, but it's also a thing like, if you know, oh, it's cool, but if you don't, you're perfectly fine. You're not completely out of the loop. There'll probably be stuff like that. That's how I'm interpreting it. Like I said, it is confusing. I get like non-fans, like non-people being hardcore about this, probably being confused about it. You know, even hardcore people are like, I'm kind of confused. They need a solidification of what the DC canon is. Other people is like, shut up, who cares about canon? That's stupid, getting caught up in it. I get it. I'm one of those people that's all about it. Like, I want to know the canon, but I'm also someone like, yeah, I'll wait. I love the little nuggets he drops, but I think it's interesting, and I completely understand why people are like, stop dropping nuggets because you're confusing us even more. But and I get it. It's hard when it's like you have all the info and you want to sprinkle it in just to have fun with people, and just have conversations with people who are just as like invested and just as nerdy as you are about this, who want little nuggets here and there about like, well, what's the canon? What's going to be the thing going forward? You want to respond to people. You want to show people like, nah, I'm all about this, because the previous regime was you know, lambasted for non-communication. Now James Gunn gets lambasted for too much communication, which I think is kind of funny. Once again, these are my thoughts. I can't just be like, oh, it's not confusing to me, so it shouldn't be confusing to other people. And even then, like I even said it myself, this is my interpretation, and I could be completely wrong. So, but like I said, I just wanted to discuss it because I thought it was such a fun and interesting discussion. I've heard people, different sides of that conversation online, so I just kind of wanted to put my little 2 cents out there. So. But obviously, these are just some of my thoughts. I'd love to get to know yours in the comments down below. What are your thoughts about James Gunn's statements? Obviously, you know, I try to cover things as best I could, but there might be elements and aspects of this that I wasn't aware of that are out. And once again, things could have changed in the time I've recorded this. Because the news cycle being what it is, especially with the writer's strike situation being what it is, that, you know, the floodgates are going to be opening probably sooner rather than later when it comes to a lot of like casting and a lot of movements on projects and so on and so forth. Once again, we are still in the middle of the SAG-AFTRA strike, so, and a lot of people don't talk about it, but there are the other union situations that are going on as well. Like obviously the WGA and the SAG-AFTRA strike are like the bigger ones, but there are other, you know, union-wide things happening all across the country of the U.S. right now. So. But like I said, getting back to my point, I love to get to know your thoughts about it. Are you confused? What are your interpretations of James Gunn's words? I love to know your thoughts. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.